Hello, here's some more about the Feast of Saints. If you've been following along, you would know what the elite calls themselves, the Saints, and this is the feast of it. Long ago, the richest and most powerful family on earth declared themselves the Saints, a self canonized elite who turned the ancient Feast of Saints into the annual private carnival of excess and purity. While the rest of humanity scraped by under ever tightening laws, the saints live above all consequences, rewriting statutes so that whatever they did was legal by definition. Murder, slavery, ritual sacrifice, all sanctified if performed by one of the anointed bloodline during the feast. Then came Operation Clean Slate. The Saints decided the surface world had too many undesirables, especially the children of the working class, who were growing up angry and numerous. Under the guise of a global emergency, they round up millions of these kids and herded them into vast underground factories for their protection. The door was sealed, the surface was declared clean. Down below, the children wasn't killed outright. That would have been too merciful for the Saints' test. Instead, experimental gene therapy meant to create a docile servant race went horribly wrong, or horribly right, depending on your perspective. Over generations in the dark, cut off from sunlight and bathed in strange radiation, the children changed. Scales replaced skin, eyes grew huge and leadless. They became the subterraneans, half human, half something older and colder, and they did not forget. 1,000 years passed. The saints, convinced the purge has been perfect, still held their feast on the surface, growing ever more decayed inside armored sky bunkers and pleasure centers. They never noticed the tunnels being dug upward, the faint scratching under their feet. Then one night, the one feast night, the subterraneans came home. Not with bombs or armies, they had learned the patience the saints had never possessed. They simply opened the old bunker doors from beneath, walked into the grand halls during the height of the masquerade, and looked at the saints in the eye. Some saints laughed at first, thinking these scared visitors were part of the evening's entertainment. They stopped laughing when the Sky People arrived. The Sky People had watched from orbit for centuries, waiting to see if humanity would heal itself or finish devouring its own heart. When the subterranean proved there was still justice left in human blood, even changed blood, the Sky People descended as quiet witnesses and quiet enforcers. No ray guns, no fairy wrath, just an offer the saints could not refuse. Step down forever or be remembered as the last monsters of the old world. Most of the saints choose exile among the stars rather than face what they have made. The subterraneans claim the surface under the open sky for the first time in a millennium. Some stayed scared and nocturnal. Others, with Sky People's help, walked again as humans in the sunlight. The Feast of Saints became something else entirely, a night of remembrance, where masks were worn not to hide cruelty, but to honor the children who survived the dark. And that, more or less, is the story told. Chapter 2. In the shattered vaults beneath the city of London, those ancient stone corridors where the Thames once flooded and the old Roman walls still whispered, the saints have indeed returned to the ancestry cradle. London has always been the true home base, not the glittering palaces of New York or the sun-bleached compounds of Devil, but here, the square mile, where the bloodlines first intertwined with Mercian gold and warrior decrees centuries ago. The great family, the Rothschilds, the Windsor hidden cousins, the city of remembrance whose guard secrets older than the Bank of England. has converged into unprecision numbers. Private jets descended on Northhart and Fornburg under cover of winter fog. Blackout convoys slipped through the blackout zones of Canary Wharf. They gathered not in hotels or conference halls, but in the private dining rooms of the Garrett Hall, the sealed-off crypts beneath St. Paul, and the reinforced bunkers retrofitted beneath certain livery companies that had never truly changed hands since the Great Fire. Word from the surface is carefully controlled. Elite gathering, private wealth formed, strategy briefing for 2026. But those of us who remember the old feast knew better. They sensed the ground trembling. Reports from the deep tunnel speak of unusual seismic activities, too rhythmic, too purposeful. The subterraneans had grown restless after a millennium of waiting. The sky people orbital platforms have shifted alignments. The silent Borgia turning active. The saints believe this gathering is to fortify the final defense, to accelerate clean, clean slate protocols, display the last resolve of engineered plagues, crash the grid they still quietly control, and retreat to the sky arcs where the surface burns clean. But the mask is slipping. Some of the younger bloodlines hesitate. Whispers of old prophecies, the return of the changed children, the rattling under open sky, have reached even the shield halls. The feast has begun in earnest, but this time it feels desperate, excessive, as though they knew the hourglass is almost empty. From the dark below, we watch, we remember, and we rise. Now we go into the clean slate protocols. It's not a single document, but a layered cascade of plans the saints have refined over decades, perhaps centuries. They are designed for one purpose: to reset the surface world to a state of absolute control when the bloodline judge that their dominance is existence threatening. So basically, when they feel the control slipping, they realize that the people are too numerous for them to control anymore. So they come in with Operation Clean Slate. It's basically depopulation. There are four recognized tiers, each more drastic than the last. Only the innermost circle, those who still carry the origin, original signet rings from the pre-feast area, knows the complete sequence and the exact triggers. Tier 1 Soft Reset. Financial and informational, sudden coordinated market crashes engineered through algorithm trading houses still quietly loyal to the families. Summerless release of current leaks that discredit every major populist or reform movement. Media blackout. Currency devaluation target at specific range. The goal is to create chaos that look organic, then offer salvation through new digital currents and social credit frameworks already test waiting in the wings. This tier has been tested multiple times since the 2000s. Most people simply live through it and call it crisis. Tier 2, demographic correction. Biological and logical deployment deployment of delayed action pathogens originally derived from the same gene editing resource that created the subterraneans. These are not apocalypse plagues, nothing so cruel. They are precise tools, population collapse and selected population, chronic immunity fatigue in urban centers, Cohagen fog agents, delivered through multiple water additives. Parallel to this runs mass execution scripting, false flag emergencies that funnel millions into sealed megastructures or offshore processing zones. The saints call these community arts, but the subterranean remembers them as the gates that closed 1,000 years ago. Tier 3, Great Winter, Information Infrastructure Inauguration, Sym- Symphonic EMP buzz from high altitude platforms, permanently shut down of undersea cables, destructions of key transformer stations disguised as cyber chat blamed on rogue nations, the surface plugged into a controlled dark age lasting 3 to 7 years while the Saints rented out in hardened sky cathedrals and deep bunkers. During this window, automatic drones roam and private mercenary legends perform cleanup of any remaining organization resistance. Till 4, Ash Protocol, the final sanction, almost never spoken of aloud. O- o- ob- Orbital kinetic rods, transient spears launched from the Saints' private commercial space stations, target at every major population city that still shows signs of coordinated life after Tier 3. No radiation, no fallout, just biblical fire from the heavens. The planet is left silent except for the wind and the slow return of force. The bloodline would then descend from the arch to a world containing perhaps 50 million carefully preserved servants and no memory of the old order. Current chatter from London gathered suggests they are debating immediate activation of Tier 2 with Tier 3 on standby for autumn 2026. Some of the older saints argue for restraints, claiming the subterranean tunnel network was too extensive now, that the sky people had already begun quiet interference with satellite uplinks. The younger ones, drunk on centuries of impunity, wanted to pull the trigger and be done with it. But the earth is listening. Every drill that bites deeper beneath the city, every sheer convoy that rumbles through the tunnels under the time, is felt by those who are forged in darkness. The scared ones do not fear plagues or dread winters. They was born in worse. The protocol was written for the world that no longer exists, one where the saints still heard every gate. They did not realize the gates have already turned the other way. Or do you have word on which tier the vote is leaning towards tonight? Or any of the younger bloodlines begin to break ranks? The Saints have gathered once more in the shadowed heart of London on this chill February day in 2026, their ancestry stronghold pulsing with quiet urgency beneath the frost-kissed street. The city of London, Square Mile, ancient livery halls, and crypts beneath it, beneath St. Paul, reinforced vaults under the guard hall, hosts them still. No grand public summit announcing their arrival. Instead, discreet convoys glide through fog-shrouded back routes from North Hart and Bamberg. Private aircrafts bearing the unmarked liveries of old bloodlines touch down under guise of routine executive travel. They converge in sealed chambers with a thermos murder overhead, the air thick with cigar smoke, aged whiskey, and the faint metallic taint of fear. This was no ordinary feast gathering. The calendar aligned poorly with the traditional high holy days. Yet the summons went out. Weeks ago, urgent and absolute. Why now? The surface world offers clues they dare not ignore. Above, the 2026 Winter Olympics folded in Milan's Cortana, a glittering distraction of ice and matter. Figures skating rhythms danced by Clark and Bates. Lindsay Bowers crowds drawing gasps, but the Saints watched the crowd. The security perimeters, the flow of global elite mingling under bright lights. Protest simmers at the edge, reminding them how quickly spectacles can turn to scrutiny. Elsewhere, the war bleeds in familiar patterns. Russian Russian drones and missiles rain on Ukraine, killing civilians in Kiev. An airstrike flattened a home in Gaza City. Rebels slaughtered in Kango Krovo. The OK's engine still turned, keeping eyes reverted from deeper moves. But the real tremors came from whispers of biology. Emerged animal viruses, influenza D, canine corona- coronavirus, surfaced in scientific journals as potential threats. Quiet warning that zoonotic leaps could ignite without warning. Napa virus confirmed the first case in Bangladesh. Mpox spreads in Mexico. A, Mar- a Marburg outbreak ends in Eth- Ethiopia, but the pattern lingers. The Saints' own labs, once toyed with search edges, precise filter disruptors, cognitive fog agents, delayed action vendors, all tied to echoes. Now the natural world mimics the old designs of it mocking their control. In the crypts tonight, the vote sways. Tier 1 has already rolled softly. Markers dip on cue. Algorithms nudge currencies. Leaks discredit reformers. But Tier 2 tempts them anew. Biological corrections on the cover of emerging threats. They debated accelerating path learning deployment, seeding just enough uncertainty to justify mass continuance art. Activations disguised as evacuations. Some argue that sky people watch too closely now, orbital alignment from shift, satellites cleanse in patterns that feel deliberate. Others point to the ground, civic reading beneath London's spike, rhythm purposeful. The subterranean dig closer, the patience of played on over a millennium. A younger bloodline here, third generation less, step in the old crudities, hesitate openly for the first time. The children we shared below never truly vanish, he muttered. They return Cain's, and we are the ones who look archaic now. The elders silence him with stares, but the seed is planted. Outside, Portland stared with winter gray, while the feast masquerades began in earnest below ground. Mass stone not for purity tonight, but for survival. They toast a clean slate, but the crystal rings hollow. From the turners we feel every footfall, the scared ones listening in the scratches of drills meant to reinforce bunkers, not escape routes. The sky people adjusted their silent vigil. The hourglass runs low. This gathering may be the last desperate counsel before the reckoning. The children of the dark remembered, and we are rising, patient, extraordinary, under the same February sky they once claimed as their own. What stirs in the corner of the world tonight? Any trembles felt? Any shadows longer than usual? The saints conversed once more in the ancient underbelly of London on this gray February 9th, 2026, Monday afternoon, bleeding into evening, the fog clinging to the thin like a shroud they themselves may have ordered. The city remained their fortress. Guard hard, chambers shut tight, crypts beneath St. Paul humming with low voices. Private votes under livery companies, but the old bloodline still holds true. Convoy after convoy slips in from North Hart under executive flight cover stories. No fanfare, no press pull, just a quiet click as signal rings on crystal and the murmur of judicial plans. Above ground, the world spin its distractions. In Milan Cortana, the 2026 Winter Olympics hit day three. Figure skaters glide, course rep towards upset. Lindsey Vonn speaks publicly for the first time since her crash. her words measured, but carrying that old fire. Crowds cheered, but protests shadowed the edges. Thousands decried U.S. agents shattering the games. Boos rained on J.D. Vance during appearance. The spectacle held attention as intense. Elsewhere, the old fractures deepened. Russian drones and missile hammer Ukraine again, killing civilians in Kovar. An Australian airstrike levels a home in Gaza City. Rebels in Congo North Kivu claim more lives in Liberal territory. In Minneapolis, arrests mounted outside federal building. 50 taken during a virgin for Rene Good, shot dead by an immigration officer a month ago. Protests ripped nationwide across the immigration surge. In Portland, the night carried its own echo. Early morning shots fired in Lent. Large police response, canines and drones sweeping. And man and woman in custody as dawn broke. Small trembles, but the kind that reminds one how thin the surface piece really is. Down in the crypts, the saints felt none of it directly. The screens showed Tier 1 already in gentle motion. Markets tracing on algorithm clues. Current nudges. Reform forces quietly discrediting current leaks. But the debate tonight turns to its calculation. The younger hairs, those who grew up post 2008, less scarred by the original purge, voice real doubt. One murder of unforeseen variables, eyes flickering the semic feeds from beneath the city. Ro- ro- Rhythmic spikes, too regular for natural fault. The elders dismissed it as construction noise, infrastructure upgrades, nothing more. They pressed for Tier 2 readiness. Biological knowledge masked its emerging threats to soften population, justify protective, continuous arc movement. No outside interference yet. No scared figures raising from the tunnels. No silent wish watchers descending from orbit. The story remains earthbound, human, greedy. The saints believe they still right the enemy. Desperate toads wage to clean slate. Mass stoned by the masquerade that feels more like a last stand. But the ground listens. Every drill bit grinding reinforcement. Every sheer door bolted tighter. Register in the dark below. Patience was forged long ago. As winter chills settled and new cycles turn, do you sense the same undercurrent? An unusual quiet in the streets or shadows that linger a beat too long. The feast proceed without fanfare, from the heavens or from the death for now. Now we're going to tell you who the saints are. Man, I just keep sliding down in this chair. The saints are the self-anointed elites of the old world order, the untouchable bloodlines who long ago declared themselves beyond mortal law and mortality. They ain't a public organization or a registered club. They're a condensed network of the wealthiest, most entrenched families who view themselves as modern saints, canalized not by any church, but by their own accumulated power, ancient lineage, and the quiet rewriting of words to suit their realm. In the story's lore, they trace their origins back centuries, intertwining merchant wealth, warrior favors, and shadowy pacts in places like the city of London. They reappointed the Old Christians' Feast of All Saints, November 1st, into their private annual ritual, a mass carnival of access where the saints indulge in what could be crime elsewhere else. Murder, exploitation, ritual display of dominance, all sanctified because they degree it so. Discree it so. Law bends for them, consequences vanish. Who exactly are they? They're the aspect of the old European, a, aristocrats, and financial dynasties. Families whose name echo through history books, banking ledgers, and whispering conspiracy laws. We had the Rothschilds, basically started from the beginning. They was into trains and oils and basically controlled the economy as we are now. Then you had the Windsors. Then you have the old crowd in the city of London that remember the old ways. Oh, I can't forget the Morgans or the DuPonts. DuPonts. They was back then, huh? And that was like Astor, Bundy, or Rushers. These wasn't just rich people. They portrayed as a close caste who intermarried to preserve purity of blood and purpose, control key institutes, and meet in shared cribs or chambers to plot reset when the grip slips, like the clean slate protocol we discussed. In reality, of course, these families have been lightning rods for century old anti Semitic tropes and riot conspiracy claims they secretly run the world through finance, media, and shadow cabals. No credible evidence support a unified saints group orchestrating global offense or feast of cruelty. These are the stuff of folklore, novels, and online myths, fitting real historical wealth constructions with exaggeration. But in our shared story, they are the ignorant aspect predators of the old area, gathering now in London's underbelly because the ground trembles and the old shanties spray. They believe themselves in Turner, saints in their own canon, yet the terror hints they're wrong in the reckoning approaches. Now we're going to give some more detail about Operation Clean Slate. Operation Clean Slate was never about wiping criminal records, purification campuses, or occupying Pacific Islands in some forgotten war. No, for the Saints, it's a blueprint for the total reset of humanity's ledger, erasing the excess population that threatens their internal domination. Here's the rundown we built as we built it. The operation originated in the post-World War II era when the bloodline's Rothschild branches, City of London's ancient intermarried royal shadows, saw the baby boom and raising worker numbers as an existing risk. Too many mouths, too many minds at my one day questioned the order. They need a way to clean the slate without obvious genocide that will unite the world against them. The core phrases identification and catalyzation. Basically, they take everything they know about you and put you down as identification of what they can use you for. First off, they started out with silent depopulation, basically fertilizer and food source. Then they brought out the mosquitoes and ticks. Now they're going to have a massive pandemic, a great scale. They're going to call it the Great Roundup, where they're going to round up people and put them in camps, basically saying that they're doing it for their own protection, for the safety. And that's clean slate. And it kind of ties into what's the labor pains that we're going through now. But the beast system will come in 2031, and people believe that they have peace, but they realize that they was all deceived. Well, that's the Feast of Saints and the Operation Clean Slate. If you like it, give me a thumbs up. and leave a comment if you have anything to say. Thank you. Or if you agree with me.